discussed about different types of processes. Basically, there are three basic type of process: linear process, iterative process, and transactional process. So today again we will discuss just means we will revise those things. Okay, so what is linear process? So in the as we already discussed in the last session, in the linear process we will do all the tasks or all the steps at once. So suppose if you take the example, if we have to, if we suppose we have a portal and we have to upload one Excel sheet into the portal. So it is a one time task. So what will happen in the init bot will launch the portal, and in the get data basically bot will read the Excel, or basically bot will find the file path where Excel is stored, and after that it will just upload that Excel into one portal and end the process. So it is a one time task. So that is called as a linear process. Linear process can be handled with sequence workflow, or it is called as a sequence because it is happening one after another. So it is a sequence. The first we are doing init, then get data, then process data, and then end. So it is like in a sequence. So that's why it is called as a linear process. Okay, so usually this type of process is not much beneficial in RPA. In RPA is to handle huge number of data, large number of data basically. So in that case, we have those processes are called iterative processes where large number of data are there. Like we have Excel sheet, and in one Excel sheet we have thousands of rows. Suppose we have Excel sheet with students information. So in a college there is an Excel sheet with information of the students. So there are thousands of information, thousands of students, and for all student we have name, ID, address, phone number, those things. Those are the columns, and we have thousands of records. And take an example like in the portal, we have to upload, we have to entry all the data, means the details of the students one by one. So how our process, how RPA process will be designed? First, there will be init. In the init, we have to upload the, we have to launch the portal. We have to log in into the portal where we are going to enter the data. Then we are having get data. Get data means we will read the Excel. So we will read entire thousands of data at once, and we will store in a data table or collection. Okay, collection or a list, we can say that. And we will store all the data in the collection. Okay, then we will process all the data from the collection one by one. So and there is a disadvantage in this. So what is the disadvantage? Suppose while processing any data, suppose out of 1000 row we are processing 10th row, 10th record of the student, and there is a failure. Maybe our portal got crashed. So what will happen? Rest of the data we can't upload into, we can't entry into the portal, and we can't retry also because 10 data is already recorded. If we do that, there will be a duplicate. Okay, so to avoid this, we are having transactional process. Okay, so what's the difference between iterative and transaction is, it is the same. We have 4 step here as well. We have a init, we have a get data, process data, and end. So in the init, basically we do initialization. We have to launch the portal as same we were doing in the linear and iterative one. But here get data and process data will happen repetitively. Okay, so we will read only one record at a time, and we will process that record. Then only we'll jump to the second record. We'll read second record and process the second record. Process second record means processing data means we will enter that student record in the portal. Okay, and then only it will end. So what is the advantage here? Suppose there is a failure. So at 10th row, while updating 10th data, there is a failure, portal got crashed. So what will happen? There is a track. We can track that. Okay, while processing 10th row, it got failed. So 9th rows is already processed and few are pending, right? So we can start from 11th row or we can retry the 10th one as well. Okay. But the thing is, are we directly going to read the data from the Excel here? The answer is no. For this, we have an orchestrator queue. Orchestrator queue we already discussed in previous I think means if we are learning RE framework, then we should have a knowledge of orchestrator queue. Okay, I will we will be having a separate lesson for that. But for now, let me just quickly show how orchestrator queue looks like. So this is the orchestrator. This is the orchestrator. And here, if we can see, there is a queue. Okay. And we can see here is a queue, get unicorn name. The queue name is get unicorn name. And if we go into view transaction, we can see there are records. There are different records. So all the data which I was saying that should be present in the Excel are already uploaded here in the orchestrator queue. So what will happen? Our bot will read the data from here, process one data, and then jump to the next one. So that is called transactional process. Okay, so this we already discussed in the previous classes. Now, so this we already discussed, and 1 second, yeah, we already discussed about this one as well, high level diagram of this main flow. Okay, where we discussed that we will be having initialization, where bot will do the cleanup part, initialization part. In the initialization, we have a read config file, configuration file bot should read. Configuration file means bot should know from which orchestrator queue data is present and from which orchestrator queue data should be retrieved. Then we should kill the processes which we are going to use in our process, like Excel. Suppose we are going to use Excel in our process, so Excel should be killed. Then we are going to use Chrome, so Chrome should be killed. So it is like a cleanup thing. We should clean the machine before executing the main task. And then another type of task we do here is the launch, init application, basically, where we launch the portal, where we launch the applications. Once that initialization will be done, then we bot move to the get transaction data part, where bot will read the data from orchestrator queue. As we already seen that we have orchestrator queue, so bot is going to read one by one from here. And then if data is found, if new transaction is found, then it is going to process the transaction. So here, what is meant by process transaction? Bot is going to enter the data. In case of, if we take the example of students record, so student records will be entered into the portal. Okay. And this demo we were preparing for get unicorn name application, which is a part of rpasamples.com. Okay, so in that we can say that here we will type the name, type the month, and it will generate the unicorn name and will read the unicorn name. And then this one, get transaction data, and this will go into repetitive mode. As we already discussed in transactional process, it happens. So today we will deep dive into the initialization, and then in other day we will deep dive into the other parts as well. But today let's focus on the initialization. So what is initialization? Read configuration file and initialize applications used in the process. So in the initialization, we are going to read the configuration file. We already discussed we have a config file. Okay. In the previous lesson, it is already there. We already discussed about the config file, what it is and why we are going to use this. Okay, so let's double click on this initialization. And we also discussed this entire thing is based on state machine. So this is a state, this is a final state. We can see the symbol here. This symbol indicates it's a state, and here this symbol indicates it's a final state. In the final state, we are having only entry point, but in the state we are having entry as well as exit point. Okay, so as we can see, this is an initialization. We have a entry, we have entry here, right? Then we have a exit, and then we have a transition. So as we discussed in the state, we are having three different sections: entry, exit, and transition. Okay, so whenever our process will start, it will go into initialization. So it will go to entry point first, right? It will go inside this one, and inside this we can see there is a try catch block. So we'll come to this part, try catch block. Okay, what is try catch? We will cover that in exception handling. So I'm just going inside this one. So here we can see we have a assign activity. So here is a variable system exception. System exception is nothing but a variable. If we see in the variable, we have a system exception type exception. Variable type is system.exception, and we are assigning is nothing. Nothing means null. Basically, we are initializing is we are initializing it to nothing. Okay, so initial value is null. Okay, why we are doing that? So that if any failure will occur, then value should be assigned in this variable, and we can throw that. Okay, so because we are just going to start, so there is no failure till now, so that's why we are assigning nothing here. Okay, let's move further. Then we have a if condition. If we already know programming language like Java, we have a if clause, right? So in a similar way, here we are called this one as an activity. So this is a if activity, and here is the condition. So it is saying config is nothing. If config is nothing, so then first of all, what is config here? So config is again a variable. If you go to variable, we'll see we have a config variable. And what is the type of the variable? It is dictionary of system.string of system.object. Okay, so config is a dictionary type. Let's what is dictionary type? It is a collection class basically, and it is one of the class of the collection. And if we take the example of general dictionary, okay, in general life, we what dictionary in general life, what dictionary means is key value pair, right? If we have to search something, so we should have a word to search a word, and we can find their meaning. So that is the key is the word, and meaning is the value. So in a similar way, config is nothing but, here config is defined as a dictionary. So it is a key value pair where there can be a key filled, basically key, one word, and their corresponding value should be present. So initially config is nothing. When we start running, so we have not initialized this value by default. If we see here, default value is nothing. We have not assigned anything here in the config variable. So that's why it must be nothing. So our condition will be true. Okay, and else part we can see nothing is there. Else part is empty. This is the else block. So else is empty. So if config is nothing, then that means it is a first run. This is we just started the process, and it's the first run. And in the first run, we are going to init all settings. There is the XAML, a workflow file, init all settings we are going to invoke. Okay. So this is nothing but the log message. So okay, let me start again from here. So while entering into initialization, we are assigning system exception to nothing, and we are also checking one condition where we are checking if config is nothing or not. Why we are checking this one? In case of failure, initialization will be retried, and in that case it cannot be nothing. Okay, we'll come to that part later. That may be the confusing one. So in the first run, this condition will be true, and bot will go inside this one, and bot is going to call this XAML. Okay, so I will come to that part, how this XAML looks like, and what bot is going to do inside this XAML. Will come to that part. Let's move further. You can just see the argument. So basically we can see data config.xlsx data folder. Under that we have a config.xlsx. So basically we are going to read this Excel sheet inside this XAML, we are going to read this config file. And which all seat we are going to read? We are going to read settings seat and constant seat. Last day we already discussed, we have three seat: settings, constants, and assets. So we are passing two seats here as argument. So we are going to read settings and constant. And as out argument, we are storing the values, whatever is stored in this seat, in a config variable as a key value pair. So on a high level, okay, we know that, okay, in this XAML, basically we are going to read this Excel, and that's all. Okay, how we are going to read, we don't know. We'll come to this, we'll go inside this XAML and we see that. Let's move further. Then we have another if condition. Okay, and basically this here we have an argument for this main XAML. We have an argument called in orchestrator queue name, and this is also empty. So if this is empty, then what will happen? This condition will be, if it is empty, then this will be true, and we have a not, so it will become false, right? And in that case, whatever is coming as an argument, okay, if it is, sorry, if it is empty, then it will be true and condition will not, then it will go to else part, it will come out of this. But if argument is not empty, we are passing some value, okay, then what will happen? This condition will become true, and we will assign the same to the config file. Orchestrator queue name will come to this one. Okay, maybe this is also at this point, this may be the difficult one. Okay, and same is the case for the orchestrator folder as well, so I'm just ignoring this for now. And then we have a kill all process. So we have init all settings, where we are going to read the config file, and here we have kill all process. Okay, here we don't have any argument. So in this XAML, we are going to kill all the processes which we are going to utilize in this particular automation. So in our example, we are going to utilize Excel, we are going to utilize Chrome. So both we should kill inside this. How we are going to kill, that we will discuss later. But on a high level, we can say that, okay, inside this XAML, we will write the code to kill applications such as Excel, Chrome, whatever applications which we are going to utilize in this automation. Then this is nothing but the log field. Okay, we'll come to this one later. And then we have, okay, this one also not that much mandatory. Maybe we can revise entire thing again. But yeah, this is the mandatory one. So this is the third one. As I told, we are going to do 3 tasks inside the initialization. So the third one is init all application. So in initialization, inside init all application, we are going to launch the portal. So we have a unicorn, find unicorn name portal, right? So we are going to launch that find unicorn name portal inside this XAML. We have to write the logic to launch the portal. Okay, so how we are going to launch the portal, those things will come to that part. But here inside this, we are definitely going to launch the portal. Okay, and that's all about the initialization. In exit, we are not doing anything. In transition, in case of successful, bot is going to jump into the get transaction data, or in case of failure, system exception, bot is going to jump to the end process. Yeah, so this is a high level overview, right? High level of the initialization. Then, as I told, everything, these all things are present inside a try catch. You can see this is a try block. And if we scroll down, here is the catch, and we have a finally. So try catch finally. This is called a try catch finally block. In any programming language, usually try catch finally blocks present. Okay, here it is activity. So here we can see we are catching one exception. And what is that exception? General exception. Okay, we are catching a general exception. So in case of any failure, whatever code is present inside the try block, okay, this code, whatever present inside the try block, if there will be any failure, any type of failure, code will directly jump to the exception one. And what will happen, whatever exception is there, it will assign to the system exception variable, and that's all. It will not do. Apart from this, we are not doing anything here. In the finally block, we don't have anything. This is empty. Okay, so anyway, don't be confused. I will separately cover what is try catch finally in the exception handling class. We are going to cover it separately. So okay, don't bother about that right currently. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the transition. Okay, so in the transition, we have a, in case of successful, we are going to the get transaction data. We can see here as well. In case of successful, if this part, this block is successful, then our bot will move to the get transaction data to read one data from the orchestrator queue. But in case of any failure, any exception, our bot is going to end the process. Why? Because any failure, that means bot may fail to launch the portal. Bot may fail to launch the portal or application or whatever application we are using. There is a failure. So that's why it should end the process. Okay.
One more question.
Yeah.
If bot fail to kill the process,
Hmm.
so will it be a system exception?
Yeah, means we are not handling here, means, right? Suppose kill the process you are talking about, right?
Yes.
So in the kill process, okay, we have to see, means exception bubbling, we have to understand in that case. So here is the kill process workflow, correct? So suppose any failure will happen here. So what will happen? It will directly, as I told, if any failure will happen, it will directly jump to the catch block, right? In the catch block, we will be having only one exception, general exception, right? So general exception is nothing but system exception.
Yes.
Okay.
But this is the main exceptions, right? It is the class of the exception.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the root class of the exception. So any type of exception will happen here inside the kill process. Uh, this catch block will definitely going to catch this.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. Suppose here some null pointer exception happened, object reference not found exception, or file not found exception, something. So in that case, there is no block to handle that. There can be a block, okay, null pointer exception, class should be present, should be defined, or file not found class should be defined to catch that. Since nothing is defined, that's why root class is to catch any type of exception. If exception is written, that means it can catch all type of exception, because it is the parent, it is the root of all the exceptions. Okay, so in the exception handling anyway I'm going to cover. So okay, uh, we'll see that in the exception handling. Okay. Okay, so for this one, I think this is enough. Okay, I'm just going again what we covered today. So we have covered the initialization, what we are doing in the initialization. So initialization is to clean the system, okay, and to start the applications for further processing. So in the initialization, mainly we are doing three tasks. One is the init all settings, where we are reading the config file. Second is we are killing all the process. Here it is. Yeah, we are killing all the processes which is required in this automation. In our case, we need Excel. We are using Excel, and we are going to use Chrome. So both should be killed inside this. And the third one is init all application. So in the init all application, we are going to launch the Chrome. We are going to launch find unicorn name portal for processing. Okay. So what we had done, we read the config file, then we killed everything. We killed everything. We cleaned the system, and after cleaning the system, now we are launching everything. We are freshly means I can say means we are starting a new session. We are launching the application, right? So this is the initialization. Okay, there are few more things we have to go to in all application, what is there and what is written, how we are going to do that. So that we will cover.